YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and I have a little treat for you on Total War Warhammer. I'm going to show you a battle that actually came from my campaign, where I was playing as the Empire, and I was probably 50 turns in. This is not the Empire campaign that I'm playing for you all, trust me. That one's going much worse. But in any case, one of the Empire campaigns I'm playing, this is just on the normal difficulty because I'm just trying to see what the late game's like. So I'm playing several campaigns in normal just to get to the late game. I'm not showing all those. And I end up having to defend the Empire against this huge army of skull smashers led by Ugrok Kracktooth. Anyway, I was in a pretty rough shape. Off to the north, I had Scaling and Varg and Chaos all over me, so Karl Franz was indisposed all the way up in the Nordland, and Balthasar was the only person left to defend the Empire, and his army was pretty crappy, and I didn't have a whole lot more money. The best thing I had was these 4 great swords, and I had 4 halberdiers, but I had a bunch of agents around, so I threw in this light wizard and this bright wizard. So I've got Balthasar, who at this point didn't have any abilities, like none. The guy had no spells, you can see here, nothing. So it's just Balthasar. Great, because he's not good in melee, right? But if we take a look at my my light wizard, he has a spell that's going to increase people's, it's like either melee attack or armor, and then my bright wizard has 2 spells. One that really hurts enemy units within its radius in terms of their melee stats, and then one that helps my guys a lot in terms of their melee stats. And I am up against a massive army under the command of Kracktooth here. He's got a bunch of goblin spears all over the flanks, so there you can see all the goblin spears. And then in the center, he's got a bunch of these orc boys. I think they're orc boys. Yeah, just tons of orc boys, which are not high-end infantry, but there's a lot of them, like a whole lot. And they're definitely going to be good against my halberdiers. And those guys ought to be pretty good against the goblin spears. But the other big issue that I have going for me is Kracktooth himself. Having to take down a lord with no melee lords or no direct damage spells on my side is going to be interesting. Plus, I'm in a conundrum with the Winds of Magic. How do I use my Winds of Magic? And how much can the magic help me? So, I mean, just a straight-up melee fight here, I'm going to lose terribly. And so you can see I'm fighting here on this hill. I was hoping it would give my guys a few uphill positions, though the overall position's not brilliant. It's not bad. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of forest fighting. You can see all the Greenskins piling in from the bottom of the hill, and my great sword's ready to hold the front line. So right now, I'm buffing the stats on some of my guys. You can see here it's giving them a huge boost to melee defense, and I'm going to charge them in. Let's watch the charge of the great swords. And immediately the skull smashes are going to start getting their own skulls smashed. So you can see here me casting all the spells to boost the stats, and some of the stat boosts are significant. I mean, look at that in terms of stat boost. So I'm using up my Winds of Magic, and some of these spells are brutal. You can see that my great swords are actually getting huge kills. Another buff spell for these guys. And so yeah, I'm just buffing my men as quickly as I can and hoping that the Winds of Magic can save me. And I mean, it is a desperate fight all the way out to the flanks where my great swords end. I'm using my halberdiers to get on the flank. The AI has allowed me to kind of outflank them some. And I'm moving another halberd unit to get around behind the enemy. But I mean, otherwise, it is a desperate fight in the center. My great swords are definitely superior infantry, but the numbers just work in the favor of the Greenskins here. In a one-on-one, it would be no problem, and my halberds are just struggling to protect the flanks. So yeah, I have to wait for the Winds of Magic to come back up. It did, and so I'm casting. There's a hex that I cast also that takes away a ton of armor and other stats from the orcs, but I'm also using it to buff this unit. This unit keeps losing, and right there you can see that it was losing, but when I put the hex on it, or the buff on it, it starts winning the combat, and that helps your morale as well. So again, the magic here can sway how a fight goes, and here's Kracktooth himself. Again, he's going to be wrecking my long swords, or great swords. I don't know why I say long swords. He's going to be wrecking my great swords pretty bad. But I'm starting to get some wavering done on the goblins over here. They don't like being outflanked. And so because they're outflanked over here, I'm getting a lot of good opportunity to potentially start wrapping that flank up. But it's getting desperate over here on my other flank. I know it's kind of hard to see because it's in the woods. This flank over here right now for me is getting overwhelmed, and I'm going to have to send help out there. And I don't want to, but since my winds of magic are low, I'm just going to send my my light wizard out there to do some outflanking. And just got to do what we got to do here to get by. So again, using what little winds of magic I have left, buffing the melee defense of my men, and giving them as much armor as possible so they can hang in this fight. So you can see that my guys are only combat even with all these spells. But the wavering should be getting real. Yeah, over here the wavering is getting pretty real for the Greenskins. And then out here, I've taken my Bright Wizard and my Light Wizard into the flank of the Goblins just to try and inflict a penalty and see if I can get these guys to break. Not the best melee units, Wizards, but up just against a cheap Goblin unit like this, they can get some work done. But even they don't like that fight. Now, the other problem I run into is that Cracktooth, he eventually gets through my lines. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, Gelt is under attack directly by Cracktooth. He's the only thing, and Cracktooth is almost dead. He's up here on his boar, but Gelt is not a melee unit, and so this is not his fight. He's getting hammered on by Cracktooth, and he actually gets chased off, but he doesn't die. I mean, just like barely does not die, and my longswords come in here and get Cracktooth tied down. And fortunately for me, like I said, Gelt did not die. He's just doing a little bit of cowardly fleeing, and Cracktooth eats it. And as soon as Cracktooth eats it, I'm able to start really wrapping up the orcs, and you can see all the wavering going on. And so my flank gets secured out here. These goblins start running away. I'm able to continue to outflank the orc boys out here. So you can see my wizards really risking their lives here because, again, this is not the kind of fight they normally want to get in. But it works. The orc boys flee. You can see my wizards tearing those guys up, and all along the line, the orcs take flight. And what would have been a massive defeat for me because of the winds of magic here ends up turning into a decisive victory. So huge victory for me here, and a huge rout of the Greenskins at the hands of my few but well supported men. So don't underestimate magic in Total War Warhammer. It goes a long ways and can definitely help you overcome some long odds if it's used properly. I am still very much in a learning process of how to use it properly, so don't take this as like the ultimate example, but rather an example of what is possible if you really put your mind to it and some wit and some strategy. Really like the depth that the magic adds to this. Let me show you what kind of magic I was using there, by the way. So let's pop back, and we'll go into the custom battle screen. And I've got the Empire. This Bright Wizard, if we take a look, I think there's a spell. Is there a spell browser up here? No. It's only when you're in the game. But yeah, if you take a look at these spells down here, what I was using was this one, Flaming Sword of Ruin. This one gives your guys a ton more weapon damage. Also, you can use this one here, which gives you 36% armor and 36 melee or armor-piercing damage. So this one will help you a lot against like lords or other heavily armored units. But there's one spell in here from the Bright Wizard, I think, that wrecks enemy stats. No, it must have been the Light Wizard. Let me check that real quick. So I had the Light Wizard too. One of my guys had a spell that wrecked, or maybe I didn't have that spell here. Never mind, I didn't have that spell yet. It's a spell that Gelt has, and you get it later on down the line. So like if I were to put Balthasar in here, he's got this one that's minus 15 armor, and it seems like there's yeah, this one right here is brutal when you use it on enemy forces, minus 34. The transmutation of lead can ruin a good enemy unit or hero and help you kill them. I did not have access to that yet. I was completely reliant on what the Bright Wizard had, which was limited, and again what the Light Wizard had, which was limited, but I was able to use them to good effect. Anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that. HeirofCarthage signing out. I'll be back with more Total War Warhammer in the near future.